a good week so far? Let's see if I can, yes, run through here. Okay, so let's type one thing that you are grateful for today. And I'll share something funny I'm grateful for. So my sister-in-law, Caitlin, I don't know if she's on or not, but she's talked to me. I'm sick of complaining about not finding a workout routine that I like. And so I know Heather's laughing. If I can't, yeah, I actually, now I see you laughing. Okay. So, Caitlin has talked me into going to this new place in Charleston when I'm here called Hilo. And I'm so sore that I literally I don't know what is wrong. I came home, I told Adam, I wonder if something's wrong with my heart because my heart rate is so fast or so high when I'm in these classes. But I am grateful that she's making me go because I do like them and I'm feeling better. And so I'm going again tonight and I'm feeling grateful that she talked me into it. So that's my grateful for today. Melissa, new office space. I know it's coming along. Too many opportunities the many opportunities that come with being a realtor. Yep, Jeff, there are tons. I just had a conversation yesterday. Donna, I haven't been to the farmer's market in forever. I need to get back to going. That's fun, Michelle. You guys are reading Miracle Morning together. I started a new morning routine too. Dawn, happy early birthday. That is something definitely to be grateful for. Oh, shoot. I hate it's raining there, Monica. Connecting with an old friend. That's good. That's good. Okay. I love that you guys share because I think that just puts us in such a great place. So I have committed to reading the John Maxwell Daily Reader every single morning. And I try to do it right when I wake up, but then I usually end up posting it later because I'm trying to not be on my phone for the first hour. I'm trying to do this whole new morning routine. But it's working. These have been so good lately. So I wanted to share today's. So John talked about allowing problems, and this is the John Maxwell Daily Reader that I just think is so easy because it's just one page a day. So he said, there's a world of difference between a person who has a big problem and a person who makes a problem big. For several years, I would do between 20 and 30 hours of counseling each week. I soon discovered that the people who came to see me were not necessarily the ones who had the most problems. They were the ones who were problem conscious and found their difficulties stressful. Naive at first, I would try to fix their problems, only to discover that they would go out and find others. How many of you know somebody like that? A study of 300 highly successful people like Franklin D. Roosevelt, Helen Keller, Winston Churchill, Albert Schweitzer, you think that's how you say that? And so on, reveals that 1/4 had handicaps such as blindness, deafness, or crippled limbs. 3/4 of them had either been born in poverty, came from broken homes, or at least came from exceedingly tense or disturbed situations. Why did the achievers overcome problems while thousands are overwhelmed by theirs? And he said this, and I love this. They refused to hold on to the common excuses for failure. They turned their stumbling blocks into stepping stones. They realized they could not determine every circumstance in life, but they could determine their choice of attitude toward every circumstance. The Los Angeles Times recently ran this quote: "If you can smile whenever anything goes wrong, you're either a nitwit or a repairman." I thought that was funny. I would add, or a leader in the making, one who realizes that the only problem you have is the one you allow to be a problem because of your wrong reaction to it. That is so good. Problems can stop you temporarily. You are the only one who can do it permanently. And I just thought that was so good. So learn to view your problems as temporary stumbling blocks. And if you guys aren't using the Daily Reader by John Maxwell, I would highly encourage you to. I just wanted to quickly move into thoughts, feedback, ahas from our guest last week. I just love him. Did you guys enjoy him? Those of you who are on, you can either type it in the chat or speak out loud. Any ahas that you got? Oh, thanks, Heather, for posting that. Perfect. There's the link in the chat to the Daily Reader if you guys would like to. I thought that you guys would really like him. I want to have him back again. So one of the things that I actually, and that's why I've started my morning routine back again, Tyler just reminded me that the morning routine is so important. And I am admittedly not great at it. I'll do good for a while, and then I totally fall off the wagon. And so I wrote my morning routine up on this big Post-it note on the wall in the office, and I'm doing really hard. I'm working really hard I'm not trying because there is no try. I'm intending to follow it very well every single morning because his routine to me is like so on point. And so I felt like that was a great reminder. And then the other thing that I got out of Tyler was to step away and reset. And so I did that this weekend, and I drove down to Tennessee and I spent a couple days with my mom, and there's absolutely nothing to do there but go to Walmart. So it was a good little reset. Yeah, it's just, he reminded me that we all need that sometimes. He said, do something to just like flush it all out and reset, and to fight through the hard stuff so that you can continue to grow. So I loved that aha from him. And I was trying to find, Melissa has my little book. I accidentally left it in her bag with all of my notes on it. And so she sent me screenshots of them so that I could have my notes, because I was like, ah. But the other thing I will say that I got from him, guys, I know a lot of you work with people. I'm flying through this book that he recommended, Help I Work with People by Chad Veach. I usually, when I get in bed at night and I instantly lay down, like I'm done. I'm out. I close my eyes. I'm done for the day. I have not been able to go to sleep the last 2 nights because I'm like flying through this book. It is so, so good. Chad Veach has kind of gotten a little bit, like, I guess, Insta famous or social media. I mean, he's a wonderful pastor. I've heard him many times. Actually, Heather, I don't remember if you guys were there when he came to Catalyst or not, but he spoke at Catalyst one time too. And so anyway, he kind of has been a little bit famous lately because he's who brought Justin Bieber to Christ. He's the pastor in California. I think like one of the Kardashians goes to his church, and so they've been posting about him. And so, which I was talking yesterday with someone about that, and I think that's kind of cool because we never know how other people are going to be, influenced in their faith. And so I think good for him for being able to do it with people who are really high profiled. But anyway, this book is really great, and I picked that up from Tyler too, so I'm super glad about that. Dawn, it's my get out of bed routine. So the first thing of the routine, and Adam, I've got Coach Roach in the house with me, so I'm like, he is like on me with all of this stuff. And so he had me write all of it out on this big Post-it note, like I shared. And the number one thing on there is I'm not allowed to hit snooze, because I'm kind of a snoozer. Like, I'll hit it 1 or 2, even if it's for 10 minutes. I like that, like extra 10 or 15 minutes. And yesterday, Linda and I interviewed an awesome guy on our podcast who is going to drop in 2 weeks. He played Major League Baseball for 5.5 years. His name is Sean Tolson. And he got out of baseball, retired from baseball, and he is in the health world. Like, he's very into holistic health, and he has this wellness website, and he coaches people on their health. And anyway, he's awesome. And he said that one of the most important things that you'll do, or the most important thing out of your 24 hours in a day, is your sleep. And he was going through like habits with us. We'll have to post that in the mindset group whenever it drops so you guys can listen to it. But he said that one of the biggest things is people hitting snooze, because when you hit snooze, you actually are more tired when you get out of bed than if you just got up the first time when your alarm went off. So yeah, so my get out of bed routine has been, I'm not hitting snooze at all. I'm getting up, I'm grabbing my books, I'm grabbing my water, I'm coming down here and sitting outside, and I'm doing my John Maxwell Daily Reader. I'm doing my YouVersion Bible app of the day, which I do have to use my phone for that, but I'm not looking at emails. I'm not doing anything. I'm not returning text. Troy, you would be so proud. No social media. Like, I'm just going to my YouVersion app. And then I'm reading for 10 minutes. And then we also interviewed David Osborne on our podcast yesterday that'll drop, I think, next week. And I keep telling Linda, everybody keeps talking about meditation, and it keeps coming to me like over and over. And every person I talk to is meditating, and everybody is saying that they're getting all this great stuff from meditation. And David said something that killed me yesterday. He said, for months I tried to meditate and I kept getting commercial interruptions. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's totally me. And he said I would think of all these random things. So I'm working on doing 10 minutes of meditation, guided meditation on these apps. So this morning, Adam and I cracked up because it was like 6. We were sitting out here. He put one on. And we got done and he said, how many commercial interruptions did you have? And I said, 26. I couldn't get with the program this morning. Like I just was not into it. I was thinking of a million other things and I did the breathing, but then I would have like a total thought come in. So I didn't do good this morning, but at least I did it. So I'm on my way. Dawn, oh, that's good. That's really good. Oh, Dawn, you did it too. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, let's get into this because I got to hurry. Does anybody know who this is? Anybody know who this is? If not, that's okay. I just want to give you a sec. Yes! Good job, Troy. This is Melvin Maxwell, John Maxwell's dad. And my thing is, I have been listening to the most amazing podcast. Here he is with his dad. His dad wore a bow tie. His dad just passed away in July, I believe, end of July. He was 98 years old, 98 and 8 months years old. And he wore a bow tie like every single day. I mean, I think John said, I don't even remember how many bow ties he said that he had, but I thought this was so cool. John has been he did a month of Melvin Maxwell. And so his last 4 podcasts have been all the lessons that he's learned from his dad. And I binged and listened to all 4 of them on my drive this weekend in the car. And I was like so frustrated because I just wanted to write everything down, but I was driving. So I've gone back and have taken notes. But you actually can go to John Maxwell podcast /Melvin, and you can download all of these worksheets from each of them, and it'll go through the lessons, and they're really good. So I wanted to just share some of these, and then I would really encourage you guys to go and listen to these podcasts. Actually, that's going to be our homework. So, because he gives 29 lessons. So we're just going to go through a couple today. But the first one is add value to people. He said that's the biggest lesson that he learned from his dad, was just adding value to people. He said, you are either a plus or a minus in your relationships. You're either a plus or you're a minus. And he said his dad was a plus. Like he overly gave. And he said when John was going to college, he said, Dad, like, what's the best advice you can give me? And he said, value people, believe in people, and unconditionally love people, because this was what will make you a people magnet, because most people don't get unconditional love, or they actually don't give unconditional love, both ways. And so if you value people, you believe in people, and you unconditionally love people, which is honestly can be kind of hard, then that's what's going to make you a people magnet. He said people may forget what you said and what you did, but they won't forget how you made them feel. And so wake up every day with one thing in mind, and that's to make someone else's day better. And if you do that, then you're consistently adding value to people. The reason why I want you guys to listen is because he shares like amazing stories, which we don't have time for me to do. Plus I can't share them as great as John can. But so lesson number 1 is add value to people. Number 2 is, and some of these are like faith-based, spiritual, pray without ceasing. This was an aha for me. He said, have an ongoing conversation with God. It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be complicated. And he said oftentimes he would just hear his dad like walk around the house saying like a 1-sentence prayer. And he said that he picked that up his whole entire life. Like he just said that he would hear his dad walking through and say like, Lord, please bless so-and-so today. Or, God, we're praying for your guidance today. Like just one quick sentences. And so he said he practiced the presence of God, and that it was the greatest spiritual asset in John's life that he learned from his dad. Lesson number 3 was Melvin's consistency. He just said, be consistent in everything that you do. Melvin's consistency was possible because of his principles and his values. So even being 98 years old, 98 years and 8 months old when he passed away, he told John that consistency compounds. If you're consistently good, then you consistently compound goodness. But the key is you just have to stay consistent, because your good qualities actually expand as you get older. And I kind of took a minute to think about that. And I really do believe that that's true. I think sometimes as people get older, they feel like they don't have any good qualities left. But really, if you think about it, your good qualities, really, they start to expand, and you start to realize, I'm 36, and actually I've always heard, Linda doesn't remember saying this, Linda McKissick, but one time she said, when you're 36, you start to think about and question everything. and so it's funny because when I start to think about that, I really can see that I know more my strengths now and my good qualities. And I do think that if you're consistent with those, then they will expand as you get older. The fourth lesson was kind of a quick one, but he said he learned how to share his faith in a positive way. Every person is created by God, and they intuitively want to know God, even if they don't believe. And the reason that they don't know God is because they have a wrong picture of who God is. And so he said, you have to really figure out a way to share your faith in a positive way with people, if you're a person of faith, because a lot of people have kind of a wrong picture of that. Number 5 was to stay focused. Those of us that are KW people here, what you focus on expands. And he actually says that in his podcast. What you focus on expands. So put before you what you want to expand, and put behind you what you want to shrink. Meaning, if you're really wanting something to grow, and you're really wanting it to expand, whether that's your business or a relationship, or, I have a typo. It should say before, not begore. If you're really wanting something to expand, then put it before you, write it down, focus on it, think about it all the time. Have it on your list, and really just be consistent with focusing on that. And then the lesson number 6 is to travel the high road. This one I took several notes on, because sometimes, and I don't know if it's just depending on personality wise or what, but this one I think can be difficult sometimes for us. And so he said, travel the high road, which means turn the other cheek. Be kind to the people that aren't kind to you. Don't repay when someone's nasty to you with something else nasty. As a leader, I think it's hilarious. It's so true. He says there's no 2 consecutive good days in a leader's life. You have a really, really good day, and then the next day you're like, okay, what is happening to me? Who brought this on me? There are truly no 2 consecutive good days in a leader's life, but there are a lot of good days. But because of that, you have to travel high, travel long. You have to take the high road. He says, travel light. Don't carry a bunch of baggage. And I loved this. He said there's less traffic on the 2nd mile. And he explains it. And I actually had never heard of this, but this is like an old traditional biblical term. Some of you may have heard this. But back in the Old Testament, in the Bible, it talks about if someone asked you to go on a walk with them, you served them and you walked a mile with a person. But he said his dad taught him that the 2nd mile was voluntary. And a lot of people don't travel the 2nd mile. They don't take the time to go the 2nd mile with someone. And so he said it's actually, it's thinner, and it's where you learn more, and it's where you can get to know somebody, because a lot of times, remember, hurt people. So you just have to keep thinking of that. He said, don't keep short accounts, meaning just as hard as it is, forgive. And if you don't love people, then you shouldn't lead them. And there is no truer statement, in my opinion, because I can think of people who are leaders who I feel like maybe don't love the people that they lead, and you can just totally tell that. And it doesn't come through genuine or authentic. Okay, number 7. How am I doing on time? Oh, we're doing good. Number 7, the 7th lesson he learned from his dad is to encourage others. And I think we've talked about this before, but he said one day his dad said to him, John, people always ask me, how do you know if someone needs encouragement? And his answer was, if they're breathing, they need encouragement. Everybody needs encouragement. Encouragement is oxygen for the soul. And think about ways that you can encourage others, even if it's just a little thing or a big thing, or having a conversation with someone or asking them questions. But be an encourager of others, because everyone likes to be encouraged. And whether that's your love language or not, encouragement makes people feel good. And also, I hope you guys would agree, but when you encourage someone, then you feel good too, right? It makes you feel good and it makes them feel good. The 8th lesson is to work hard. And I actually took a lot of notes on this one too. And he tells this great story about how Melvin taught John to just be a hard worker, but also working smart. And he said that they had chores growing up. And he said that he can specifically remember one time in his childhood where he and his brother and sister all had chores. And he said that John's chore was to clean the basement, but that his dad would say, these are your chores for the day or for the week or for the weekend. I don't care when you do them, but they just need to be done by this day. So you can either do them now or you can wait till the last minute. And so he said he distinctly remembers being a child and standing at his front storm door and watching his family, his mom and his dad and his brother and his sister, pull away in the car to go to the pool for the day. And he said that his dad said, John, you don't get to go to the pool because you had all week to clean the basement and you never cleaned the basement. And so he said, I'll never forget that because it was such a lesson to me because I didn't get to go to the pool with my family. I had to stay home and clean the basement. And he said that it taught him, his dad always said, you can either pay now and play later, or you can play now and pay later. And John said that was a time in my life. He said there's been many times, but he said that was a time where unfortunately he didn't get to play because he had to pay, right? He had to go clean the basement. But he said, be the person that everybody around you has to play catch up to. And so he said he always wakes up at 5 and he does his work because he said he believes in rise early and work and you're already ahead of the game. And so just being able to think about that, I just think that that is such a strong lesson too. The ninth lesson is think positive, have a positive life stance. And he said that his dad actually paid him to read the book, The Power of Positive Thinking, which used to be like a big thing before. I mean, I think Norman Vincent Peale was like one of the very first positive, Dawn saying yes. Okay, yep. So his dad actually paid him to read that book. And then he said that a couple of months later, his dad said, John, get in the car. Today I'm going to take you to Columbus, Ohio, and we're going to hear Norman Vincent Peale speak. And he actually introduced him. He got to meet him. And so John said he always remembers that, but he learned from that just having a positive stance on life. And it's not what happens to you, it's what happens in you that matters. And I love the sentence, attitude isn't everything, but it's the main thing. Because think about how much more effective you can be when your attitude is good, or when you know people who have a great attitude. Attitude isn't everything, but it's the main thing. And then we're just going to go through a couple more. I think these are the last ones because I knew we wouldn't have time to do a lot. But the 10th lesson for people of faith was just put God first. He said that his dad also paid them to memorize Bible verses. And the first Bible verse that he had him memorize was Matthew 6:33. Seek first God and his kingdom, and all other things will be added to you. And so he just talks about how God created you for greatness. He gave you a purpose that would help you be great. And so the more that you put him first and that you hang out with him, you hang with God is what John says, the more he'll help you fulfill your purpose, and all the other stuff that you need in life you'll get. And so I really love that one. That was just one of the faith lessons, and he gave a couple of those. Lesson number 11 is walk slowly through the crowds. I think I've shared story before about John walking slowly through the crowds whenever he's at conventions and stuff. He always goes through the back rooms or goes to the kitchen and he talks to everybody. But he gave the example and told the story about how his dad, when he was running I can't remember what it used to be called, but today it's called Ohio Christian University, that the students would say, one, he knew every one of them by name, which that is super impressive. And that's actually another lesson. I think it's like in the 20s. We'll do that one next week. But he knew them by name. And then he said he would walk around and he would ask every one of them questions, and that the students would say that one of their biggest highlights was actually Melvin walking through the people, because they knew he would come over, ask them a question, call them by name, and he would encourage them. He would give them some sort of sense of encouragement. And so John says, like, in such a busy, crazy world that we're in, walk slowly through the crowds and take the time to talk to people and to encourage them and ask them questions and know them by name. Lesson number 12 was also a faith lesson, and it was just trust and obey God. And the two things I took away from this one were, he said, even if it doesn't make sense on the front end, still do it. And he said, remember, discipline is appreciated on the back end. We don't use being disciplined, but appreciated on the back end, and that's when it shows up. And then number 13, and this is where we'll stop for today because I want to do the other ones next week. But number 13 is manage the gifts that God has given you. And this one I think is really powerful. And so actually that's why I wanted to end on this one today. To whom much is given, much shall be required. And I used to always joke, and some of you have heard me say this, but when you're a leader, right, the crown is heavy. And however, I always think about it in this way, like that's just a gift that God gave you. And so even when you've been given a lot, like think of people who are super talented, because he says, when you've been given a lot of talent, then you're expected to build it and multiply it. And so I was thinking about, when I read that, I was actually thinking about LeBron James, because this is a squirrel, but in this book that I'm obsessively reading right now, did you guys know, maybe you did, that LeBron James spends 1.5 million a year on his body, includes cryotherapy, hyperbaric chambers, exotic leg boots, exercise routines, diet, personal trainers. He's invested in his body so that he can still dominate at 33 years old. And they say in this book that his career earnings were recently estimated at over $1 billion. So with that kind of return, spending $1 million or $2 million a year isn't exorbitant. It's an investment that pays incredible dividends. And so I was thinking, because wow, what a talent LeBron has been blessed with, and he's building and multiplying on it. Like he realizes how much he's been given. And so he's going to crush it. So stay in your strength zone, not in your weak zone, because the strengths fit your purpose in life. So whatever those gifts are that you have, and we've all been given different ones, right? Those are the gifts that are your strength. And so you need to know what those are and continue to use those, because somehow that fits into your purpose. So I just love all of these. I hope you guys do. I just think that they're so good. So your homework is going to be, if you haven't already, go listen to the parts 1 and 2. And they're like 25 to 30 minutes each. They say they're an hour because Mark Cole, he talks at the end for about 30 minutes. But John's speaking part is probably about 25 or 30 minutes. And I would highly suggest, we'll post them in the Facebook group. I would highly suggest that you take the time and go and listen to those. And then next week, we're going to go through the last ones, 14 through 29, because there are just, gosh, there's some really, really good ones. But also remember, if you want the sheets, actually, we can post the sheets because I have them as a downloadable PDF too. So we'll post those also. Yeah, so what did you guys think? Did you guys like this? Has anybody listened to them already? Troy probably has. Have you? No? Oh.
I'm going to, though. I've been obsessed with Ed Milet the last couple weeks. So
I know.
I was gonna text Adam, because that one I posted in the chat is ridiculous.
Is that an Ed Milet one?
Yeah, it's the one. If you haven't listened to it,
here it is. Things happen.
It's a neuroscientist. Sorry, I'm like totally hijacking.
No, I love it. Hijack.
But it's a neuroscientist who can speak to you. Like Jace, my 7-year-old, listened to it with me, and he was regurgitating it to Ashley. But he talks about all of the like reasons why like sleep is important, why he talks about the number of lumens that come from the sun compared to like inside light, and how within the first 15 minutes of waking up in the morning, if you go outside, even on the darkest day in Boston in the winter, that you will get like 100 times more light, and it actually triggers a chemical in your brain to make you tired 16 hours later. Wow. And so he said, if you wait until you've been awake for like 2 hours to go outside, it can actually make you like not tired at night. It's crazy. Anyways.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to listen to that, because you're gonna love what the guy that we interviewed on our podcast, the Sean guy, said yesterday. He said the same thing, 10 minutes outside. You just need 10 minutes outside. But he said, go barefoot. That there's something about, I have to go back and look at my notes, but there's something about actually walking outside barefoot for 10 minutes. It does something. I can't remember, but he was like, he said like, let your kids go. But yes, maybe that's it, Amy. Yeah, I can't remember.
All right. Well, I have to go right now, but I will definitely listen to it, and you need to listen to the Ed Milet one, which Adam probably already has. But
I'll listen today. Okay, you guys
All
go
right.
listen. You have 3 homeworks then. Okay. Have Dawn, be careful. Just stand. Don't like run or anything. Just stand outside barefoot in the grass.